More cases of the coronavirus in schools. I'm Stephanie Wade talking with state leaders on more guidance that they're providing to keep students and staff safe.
You want people to think about local when they decide to go out to eat, but a lot of people just aren't ready to go out at all.
Plus, we will show you the challenge some local restaurants are still facing during the pandemic.
Call 6 Investigates uncovers some local police departments aren't releasing information on when they use force. And now a state lawmaker is making a move to change that.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Now at 5, from Avon to Greenfield to New Palestine, school districts across our area are seeing cases of coronavirus just days after reopening.
We hear from the head of the Department of Education tonight about the challenges schools are facing right now. Our Stephanie Wade is asking her if the state will provide any more direction to help mitigate the spread.
As we see more students and staff test positive, it seems just as soon as those school doors are opening, parents and school leaders are looking for some more guidance on how best to keep everyone safe. Today, the state superintendent of public instruction answering our questions.
For me to sit and say who should be open, when they should be open, should they be closed, based on what I have been told from our medical experts, we are good to go.
The head of the Department of Education admitting today that some school districts are not safe to reopen. That's why they've decided to do virtual learning or a hybrid. According to Dr. Jennifer McCormick, 17 school districts across the state initially planned on returning this fall entirely virtual. Now that number is at 31. But she ensures all schools do have a plan if they have to shut down. Those safety plans do not, however, have to be approved by the Department of Education. She says superintendents have been asking the state for some more direction, though, on what the threshold might be on number of cases requiring them to shut down.
We are getting asked quite a bit of that. Parents also, too, are asking for that. Some of our parents are asking for more of a black and white, what can we expect if we are watching our trends go up and we know we hit, let's say, 7, and that triggers an elementary to close down. We know if those positivity rates that they can follow as well are not looking good, they know to start preparing.
But she says it's a case-by-case basis to be decided by the local health department and school district to make the best decision for their communities. Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
To learn more about the Department of Education safety recommendations, visit in.gov/school-safety.
Today, a milestone no one is celebrating. Indiana is reporting a record number of positive coronavirus cases in a single day. That number, 1,051. Those results came in between July 29th and yesterday. The previous high was 1,011, set on July 24th, before the state's mask mandate took effect. The total number of positive cases now tops 71,000. The overall positivity rate remains at 8.8%. 6 more Hoosiers have died from COVID-19, those deaths occurring between July 28th and yesterday. The statewide total now stands at 2,811. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine tested positive for COVID-19 ahead of a meeting planned today with President Trump. DeWine's office said he took the test today as part of the standard protocol before he was to meet the president at an airport in Cleveland. He had planned to join the president on a visit to the Whirlpool plant in Northwest Ohio. His office said DeWine has no symptoms, but returned to Columbus before the president landed. The governor plans to quarantine at his home for 14 days. The Indianapolis Housing Agency is stepping up efforts to help people during the pandemic. The IHA helps low-income residents with public housing or Section 8 vouchers, and that need is expected to grow. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum looks into the measures the agency is taking to prepare for this uptick.
Masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer, all being packed away in these bags and delivered to residents in this IHA public housing facility. This one on Indiana Avenue caters specifically to low-income seniors and those with disabilities.
We have applied for federal pandemic assistance, and we are just trying to help as many people as we can in a variety of ways.
Today, they provided PPE for around 100 residents who may not have had access to it or the ability to purchase it for themselves. The IHA is also working to help people who live outside of their buildings as well, as they're expecting the need for housing assistance to grow.
Are doing in light of COVID and in light of us identifying that there is a growing need is that we are processing our applications, particularly with public housing. We are processing them much quicker. We're also making sure our units, whenever they become vacant, are cleaned up and the proper maintenance is done in a quicker fashion, just so that we can get them ready and quickly open them up for people who may have need.
The IHA has 15 public housing communities with around 2,000 units. They're a federally funded program, and the amount of people they're able to help depends on the amount of funding they get from HUD. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Thank you, Megan. Another beautiful day in central Indiana. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. If today were Friday, peg the meter, put it at a 10. Tomorrow will be almost as nice. We'll just turn up the temperature just a little bit. Our string of cool mornings, though, will come to an end as these overnight lows start to climb. So will the daytime highs. We're dry, though, until a slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm on Sunday. The next best chance, I guess is one way to put it, for rain will arrive on Monday. 76 now, that's with low humidity, light wind. The cumulus clouds that have built through the afternoon will fade away tonight. Terre Haute and Bloomington showing the way to 80 degrees once again. We'll all be there during the day tomorrow. This evening, temperatures, they'll fall back to 69 by 10 o'clock as skies become clear to partly cloudy. From north to south, there are the low temperatures overnight tonight. A little bit warmer than we have been, but still comfortably cool first thing in the morning. That's the way we start our Friday. We'll talk about finishing it and look at your weekend forecast coming up.
And Call 6 Investigates has uncovered some of the largest police departments in central Indiana are not participating in a national use of force database. The database is important because it helps create statistics and dialogue surrounding when police use force on people, as well as demographics like the race of those involved. Call 6 Investigates surveyed the largest police departments and found Muncie Police and Indiana State Police are not sending their use of force data to the FBI's national database. Representative Robin Shackelford is the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus chair who has been vocal about the need for police reform.
We've seen it cause deaths when you're talking about minorities. I'm sure there's a high proportion of law enforcement officers who use a high use of force or excessive force when it comes to dealing with the black population. So we in particular would like to see that data, would like to see the information. I think a national database makes sense.
It is not clear why Muncie and Indiana State Police are not participating, but we did find Indianapolis Metro Police sends their data to the national database on a monthly basis, and many other departments like Greenwood are also participating. At this time, there's no penalty for police agencies who fail to send their use of force data to the national collection. The protests demanding police reforms may have simmered somewhat, but people continue to call for change. However, as RTV6's Rafael Sanchez reports, the families of police officers are asking for discussions before any decisions are made.
Emily Nimps takes it one day at a time.
We are the silent majority, but I believe that we need to speak up and use our voices for our law enforcement officers.
Her husband, Benjamin, was killed in a crash July the 21st, 2019. While serving in law enforcement in Florida. He planned on moving to Indiana to join Emily and their 2 children. Now Emily has become an advocate for families and those in public safety.
They go out daily knowing that they're going to see things that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives, and they do that for the love of their community.
We spoke to Emily and Greg Pitts on Zoom. Greg's brother, Rob, was a police officer in Terre Haute, killed in the line of duty on May the 4th, 2018.
We need to stand up and have a voice for our officers.
Both Greg and Emily condemn what happened to George Floyd in Minnesota. Both oppose the call to drop the qualified immunity, which protects officers from certain lawsuits.
I realize that with any occupation, you're going to have 1 or 2 bad apples here and there, but you can't deem a whole profession by just what a few people do. And the good officers out there that are doing their jobs every day, you know, they don't agree with what these bad officers are doing.
Whether you want to call it a reform or a modification, however you want to say it, you are taking away the officer's ability to properly and safely do their jobs. And not just that, their families. You are now asking them to risk the livelihoods of their families at home.
The Lafayette police chief wants to see more research on the impact of any potential changes to qualified immunity before there's a rush to judgment.
I wouldn't want a bad police officer operating on our streets, whether it's in my department or any other department.
While politicians and protesters weigh in on the issue, the families of Benjamin and Rob remember their sacrifice and their public service. Working for you, Rafael Sanchez, RTV6.
The Indiana Association of Chiefs of Police expressed concerns about changing immunity without having ever been involved in the discussions. And Indiana Senator Mike Braun did propose making changes to qualified immunity and withdrew his plan. His statement in part says, "I'm not going to push this bill further without input from law enforcement."
We have much more lined up for you this hour. The role creativity is playing for many local restaurants and other businesses. One restaurant owner explains one measure that is really hurting the bottom line despite the creative ways to get around it. Also ahead for you tonight, breaking ground on a project to give women hope at a better future. The effort that centers on a man no longer here, but whose life is leaving a lasting impact. Kevin.
As you know, a beautiful evening in progress, another cool night. We'll talk about how this view may change over the weekend. There are 3 changes to talk about for the weekend coming up.
Millions of Americans remain out of work due to the pandemic, but the number of people filing for unemployment benefits for the first time is dropping slightly nationally and in Indiana. Nearly 1.2 million Americans applied for state benefits last week. That's down 249,000 from the previous week and the lowest since mid-March. Similar encouraging news in Indiana. The number of new claims for the week ending August 1st was 12,533, the lowest level since the beginning of the pandemic. In the 20 weeks since this began, about 940,000 Hoosiers have filed for unemployment. Tonight, local restaurants are still facing challenges despite most being open at 75% capacity. RTV6's Nicole Griffin is in Noblesville speaking with one restaurant owner who says since so many people are still not comfortable with eating out, business has not been consistent.
Courtney's Kitchen here in Noblesville is now back open for dine-in services, and they have been for about 8 weeks now. But they were one of the few restaurants that did not reopen right away for dine-in when the state allowed them to. I talked to the co-owner here about some of the challenges and some of the positive moments they're facing during the pandemic.
We imagine the first year would be the hardest or most difficult for us, and with everything happening in the current situation, it's been a little more taxing.
Carrie Courtney says it was always her brother Cass's dream to open a restaurant. 10 years ago, the two made it a reality in downtown Noblesville.
I have everywhere from my dad is the breakfast cook, so that's why we only have breakfast on Saturdays, so that he can come in and do his breakfast cooking. My mom is a full-time worker through the week. My aunt makes all the homemade pies.
During the pandemic, the Courtney family is continuing to adapt to changes just to stay open. Curbside delivery and carryout is what pushed them through until now, but growing the business is still a daily challenge.
We're probably only hitting about 40% of our normal business. So that takes a hit. So you try to force yourself to be more creative and try to enact more things, but you can't, but you're so limited. You want people to think about local when they decide to go out to eat, but a lot of people just aren't ready to go out at all.
We want to get something to eat, so we're going to stop here at Courtney's and get some red tenderloins. It's my first time being here.
Tim Profit wants to support local businesses, but like others, he's still not quite ready to dine in, despite all the steps the restaurant is taking to keep people safe.
I think it's a lot safer to get carry out than it is going in and dining in and stuff like that.
Courtney says events getting canceled in Noblesville is also hurting business, but the restaurant's biggest fundraiser of the year, the Strut to Save Lives, is rescheduled for September.
That's something that we look forward to because it just brings back some normalcy. You know, we've lost so many events, and that's something that we can do safely regardless of the environment.
She hopes the event that is put on by the Indiana Donor Network and race car driver Brian Clausen's family has a good turnout so this small local staple can keep its doors open and continue serving the community. Working for you in Noblesville, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
And if you do choose to dine in and support a local business, Courtney's Kitchen is taking staff members' temperatures daily, sanitizing chairs, tables, and menus, as well as dedicating one employee to bussing tables to keep the restaurant as clean as possible.
He was known to the race fans as the priest in the pits, but Father Glenn O'Connor's bigger legacy is how he loved to help people, especially those who were struggling. And now that legacy will live on in a new home that will bear his name on the city's west side. Today, ground was broken on the Father Glenn O'Connor home next to Seeds of Hope and near St. Joseph Catholic Church. Father Glenn helped lead the effort to open Seeds of Hope in 1999 when he was pastor at St. Joseph's. Seeds of Hope is a transitional home for women struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. Before he died in March of last year, he gave the go-ahead for what happened today. Construction on what's being called a three-quarter house that will give women who graduate from Seeds of Hope a little more time to prepare for the next step.
There is no other name that would fit this home. We're going to build a three-quarter house, and this house is where the ladies will live until they get a better footing, better equipped to be in the outside world.
The home will have 22 apartments. It's expected to be ready in June of next year. And by the way, Father Glenn was one of our Jefferson Award winners in 2016 for his efforts with Seeds of Hope. Now let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. And Kevin, we're hoping this weather will last a little bit longer. It was so nice today.
Nothing lasts forever. We'll get to that in a second. This is not a trick question, Amanda. Do you think it was a busy day in the weather office today?
No. I know you're working hard all day.
Right. No, it wasn't too busy in the weather office, except for we had a software update today, man. Both of our computers went through a software upgrade, and that's what you do on a good weather day in the weather office is you just repair equipment, make sure you're ready for those busy days. All right, temperatures, they're headed into the middle to upper 80s once again. You knew we would return. It felt like September here for a while, but we'll get into August temperatures once again, and inevitably follow the line. You watch it just continue to arc straight up as the humidity comes back in a big way. Sunday and Monday, early next week, definitely a more tropical feel. The pattern has been the same each day. We wake up with generally sunshine, then we have cumulus clouds build in the afternoon, then we cool things off and they fade away at night. All the metro area temperatures, middle to upper 70s, Martinsville and Edinburgh both at 78, 81 down in Evansville, notice 83 along the Ohio River in Louisville. That warmer air will drift north once we change the wind direction, which really kind of kicks in over the weekend. We'll end the work week with a mixture of clouds and sunshine, 82 degrees, still not too humid as you look at these Friday afternoon high temperatures. As we step into the weekend, what changes? There are three changes I mentioned. More humidity and temperatures warmer, and that low chance for thunderstorms primarily on Sunday. The best chance for thunderstorms looking ahead is going to come as we get to Monday. Saturday plans, go for it. You've got the green light. You'll notice the warmth and a little more humidity. Temperature already by noon, right around 80. 85 will be the afternoon high temperature. From north to south, here's how the temperatures will play out across the state. Central Indiana temperatures about average for this time of year. To the south, just a little bit warmer, but not as warm as we will be on Sunday and Monday. That's when our temperatures continue to warm up. Monday, thunderstorms most likely. Tuesday, Wednesday, chance for thunderstorms is still there. Again, they become more likely on Wednesday. Here's a 7-day forecast. This is why it wasn't too busy in the weather office today, other than hitting Control-Alt-Delete a few times. 50s for the last time tomorrow morning, at least in this 7-day forecast. We'll be back into the low 70s for overnight lows on Monday and Tuesday. High temperatures pushing 90 degrees. We don't quite make it there. Now, one more thing of self-disclosure. Kyle Mounts handles all the updates, the software updates. He's the man that knows the computers the best. Back to you guys.
He sure is. He's know his way around that. All right. Thank you, Kevin. Some high-tech help is on the way to make sure kids have the tools they need to learn their lessons in this new era. And all parents have to do is pick up the gear. We'll explain how to do just that.
Muncie Community Schools are less than a week away from starting classes, both in person and virtually. Nearly 800 students have enrolled in the district's virtual learning program. To make sure they have reliable technology for them to learn, the district is handing out devices and hotspots to those students. Kindergarten through second graders will get iPads, while students in 3rd through 12th grade are getting Chromebooks.
We are committed to make sure every family and every student has the resources they need this school year.
I think it's amazing that the school is willing to, support parents in whatever decisions they make and provide them with all the tools they need for our children to be able to succeed at home.
Pickup for those devices will continue again tomorrow. You can find the specific times and guidelines on the district's website. Students attending in person will also get devices on the first day of school on Tuesday. Sending Hoosier students safely back to school is the goal of parents and school districts across the state. RTV6 is taking a closer look at your options as you decide the best way for your child to keep learning during the pandemic. Join us for an RTV6 special, Safely Back to School, tonight at 7:30. Still ahead on the news at 5:30, they started as pieces of plywood to cover damage, but they soon became art. Will now become a part of Indiana's history.